Let's talk about comprehensible inputs. Scott Nathan here says, yes, now for myself, I do still find comprehensible input, I guess, helpful too. Only thing I do wish is that it worked faster. But yes, it does work very slowly. I still do it, but I also reinforce words I learn by mastering them. I say them in a bunch of sentences until you can't come up with any more. By doing this, I master my other words too. Now I'm working on using the language islands too. I'm like at the 2 year old Spanish level now, but with about maybe a couple hundred words. Uh, a 2 year old knows, I would say, more words than a couple hundred. No, I'm no expert on children's anything really. So I don't know how many words they. I don't work with children. Uh, I have in the past when I worked in a language school, and I can't deal with other people's children. No thanks. But yeah, so comprehensible input, does it help? Yes. Is it the only thing you need? Of course not. So comprehensible input is what it is. It's effective to. It's an easy way to review language. It's an easy way to just listen to it, and if you know enough, you can just listen to it and review the language without continuing to, but without having to continue studying or anything like that, or reviewing stuff. It makes maintaining and slowly improving the language easy and low effort. But for it to be comprehensible, you need to make it comprehensible first. So this is why I work with mass sentences and language islands and mnemonics. Because if you know a few thousand words, comprehensible input will be comprehensible. If you don't know anything and you try to just, I'm gonna watch Dream in Spanish and learn, yeah, and in 2 years you know a couple hundred words. You know, you have to front load the work. Don't be work shy. Don't avoid the hard work. You'll get results way faster if you try to do the hard work. And if you learn the most common verbs and mass sentences for grammar and the most common nouns and your language islands, and you learn them by just reviewing the same sentences over and over, mass sentences, you use mnemonics for the vocab, you use flashcards, retrieval practice, and spaced repetition, review it over and over again. And with retrieval practice, you actually try to actively say these sentences. You learn 10 times faster. And once you know maybe three, four, 5,000 words, you can start listening to native speaker content instead of all those bullshit videos about really basic, the dumb stuff, or super, what they call it, super beginners or something like that, all that crap. You can jump straight to interesting content. You watch the news, you watch documentaries, podcast, listen to podcasts about technology, whatever, about whatever you're interested in, talk shows about football, anything. You can, that can be your input, but you have to do either thousands of hours of nonsense input first, like the dumb videos for beginners, or a few weeks of really hard work, really, really hard work with this kind of mnemonics, retrieval practice, mass sentences. As for speaking, yeah, language islands. Learn those. It will help your comprehension as well, but if you do language islands plus shadowing, it really helps your comprehension. But it'll help you speaking a lot, because you can't get good at speaking without speaking a lot. And comprehensible input is not speaking. It doesn't matter how much input you do. Like I always say, I've watched and listened to thousands of hours of French. I've read over 100 books in French. I still wasn't fluent until I started working on my speaking, doing speaking exercises daily at home on my own. And I live near the border. Uh, I see French people relatively often. I go there relatively often. I used to have really basic conversations, but just by doing that and then lots of input, I realized that I was never going to be fluent with that. So now, now those conversations that I have in French, that's I mean I don't learn French anymore. But when I was properly trying to improve my speaking, I went from lots of input and then occasional conversation, and that conversation used to be like small interaction. Went from that to continue to do the input, but then an hour a day of deliberate practice on my speaking, lots of shadowing, and then occasional conversation. But the occasional conversation would be much better because I could speak much longer, but um, much more easily, less effort, more enjoyable. So I practice more with people as well. But that was only possible because of doing all the deliberate practice with the shadowing. Yeah. So do deliberate practice, language islands and shadowing for your speaking, and use mnemonics to learn lots of vocab and retrieval practice and spaced repetition to learn thousands of sentences and thousands of words as fast as possible. So you can then enjoy conversations and the interesting input, not the Spanish for beginners crap.